when you retired, you didn't have a press conference. You didn't make a big announcement.
Nah.
You said you just want to kind of fade to black and just sort of
Yeah.
pretend like it didn't happen almost.
Yeah. And I think because I ended up writing a piece, and I think I really kind of set a trend in the way I retired when I wrote that piece. And because it was all press conferences until that point. And from then there was, guys kind of really write a letter now when they retire, and guys started retiring. Even Jared Allen, I'm thinking about him riding a horse literally into the sunset. He had a cowboy hat and he rode a horse on his Instagram into the sunset. So it kind of, guys started retiring in their own personality, in their own way when it felt right. So I wrote about it on the Huffington Post. That piece had a lot of notoriety. That piece went viral. That was for music artists, for rap artists, that was like my hit single as a writer. And then from that piece, why I retired at 26 on the Huffington Post, that's where I got a lot of writing opportunities. Writing agents reaching out, publishers, when HBO called. So that kind of really propelled me into my next life, my next career.
So HBO called you for Ballers?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. After I wrote the piece on my retirement. Yeah.
So it actually worked out.
It did.
In its own way. Okay.
It did.
That's wild.
That was the same exact time where they had just shot their pilot. The pilot had been picked up by HBO. So they were in the process of fielding a writing team. And then my piece goes out, and the showrunner, Evan Riley, he reaches out to the creator, Stephen Levinson. And he's like, yo, we're putting our writer's room together. Have you seen this football player who wrote this piece? What do you think about this? He's like, oh man, this is pretty interesting. Like, it's pretty cool. And in the piece, I said, I want to write going forward. They gave me a call from there. And with my agency, and my who was representing me at the time, Chris Silva, obviously my football agent, Mike McCartney, but on the entertainment side, Chris Silva, he gave me a call and was like, yo, we got a bunch of calls. I told you that this one's pretty interesting. It's from HBO for a football series that they're filling a room for, and they want you. And there's another writer, established Hollywood writer, that they're down to. And I'm like, okay, wow. So had some calls with them, some conversation. They had me mock write up some script, and I won the job. They brought me in the room.
Right. So now you become a writer for Ballers.
Yes.
On HBO. Dwayne Johnson is the star,
yes,
as well as one of the executive producers.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Wahlberg,
yes,
is one of the other executive producers.
Yes.
Any interesting stories with Dwayne and or Mark?
Yeah, of course. Man, I don't know why the first one I think about is just like the day it happened with Dwayne. Throughout the show, me and him have always had a pretty cool professional relationship with me. Obviously him playing the football player and me being the one real player on the production.
Oh, so you're the only player in the writing room?
Yes.
Okay.
Early on, Terrell Suggs was there with us for a couple weeks. So it was me and Terrell, me and T Suggs, but I kind of was there for the whole time. So throughout set and production and filming, I was always there, and a lot of the football specifics I had a hand in. And so even between takes and things like that, me and Dwayne would end up in each other's space talking, chopping it up, different things like that. And even professionally, I'd always kind of given him his space. But it was funny. It was a day we were in Miami. We were shooting the final scene in season 10, where Vernon, he's got his deal finally, and they bring him this really big check on a platter. So we're shooting that scene. We're in Miami at Prime 112, and we're setting up for a shoot. And I remember being in my condo that day in Brickell, and I'm like, man, because I'm this is we're nearing the end of production, and I got my writing company at this time, writing production company, and things are starting to get going. But I'm like, man, there's a little bit of knowledge, wisdom, information that I know I need. Who better to get it from than Dwayne? So I got dressed this day and knew that all right, it's time for me to pick his brain a bit. So we're at Prime 112. We're getting set up for a shot. And it's funny because he's sitting down at a table, and when he comes to work, people really give him his space and give him that respect. So he's sitting at a table, and there's nobody within half the restaurant from within him. And he's got his iPad and his phone and his notebook, and he's in work mode. So I remember what it took for me to break the fourth wall I walked over there, and I grabbed the chair, And when he looked up, he gave me like the dirtiest look ever. He was like, fuck you doing here? Like, get away. And I'm like, no, man, not today. I need to know today. I pulled the chair, sat down. He took a deep breath, put his stuff away. And it's like, yes, Rashard, like, what do you need? What do you want? Why you disturb me in my work? And I'm like, all right, man, like, obviously we've been around each other together, chopped it up. Man, I got this company. Like, I've seen what you've been able to do. Take me there. How do I? And so he told me a bit of his story, like having his first team and realizing when they weren't the right team. He said he looked up one day. He said, everybody in the room, I just looked up and I fired their ass. He was like, people that didn't even work for me, I just fired them. He had the wrong people around on the wrong team and started over, began to put his team together from scratch. And their motto and their goal, their aim was world domination. So this isn't like 2014. And you remember, he was every single movie, every single billboard, every city, he's everywhere. Their motto, his new team, was world domination. And it took him firing his old team to put that in play. And so he was like, you need a team and so on and so forth. And he kind of really, you know what I'm saying, shook my hand, gave me the game on that day. And it took me having like the nuts, the fortitude to be like, to grab that chair when he said, get away from me, basically. And I'm like, no, man, I need to know. So he really kind of helped me out. And that really helped me to build my company. Once the show was going to obviously have its run, have its end, but we're still good now in my writing production company, what we're able to do. And even too, where I had to realize, I had that same moment where the team they didn't really understand who I was, what I was trying to do. They were just there and thought they could benefit. And I had to kind of start over, get a new team. And I'm here with you right now. I got the right person, the right guys. You know what I'm saying? So we're building that same form. And he was kind of the one that set me on that course.
Well, yeah. I mean, Ballers went for 5 seasons, and you made some cameos.
Yes.
On the show.
Yeah. And I advanced as a writer and producer through each of those 5 seasons. Yeah. So I went from staff writer to story editor to executive story editor. Then I went co-producer, skipping another line, went co-producer to supervising producer. So made an advancement, grew in responsibility. And now to this day, if I do any work in Hollywood, it's at the level of supervising producer and executive producer going up.
How's the money compared to your NFL career?
Oh, it's solid. So obviously not the same as the NFL in the role that I was in on that show, my role in the show, but the industry of Hollywood is the only place that's really breaking off checks the same way as the NFL. So depending on your position, if you're the one that's leading, that show running, you're in the same realm and territory. And that's kind of where we set the company and built to, and I've brought myself to being a ball carrier in Hollywood, being a leading person.
Well,
so it's pretty good.
Got it. Well, in 2016, Kaepernick takes a knee.
Yes.
And it sets off a series of events that we're still feeling to this day.
Yes, absolutely.
You didn't show up to a game to prove a point. Kaepernick took a knee to prove a point. So there are some similarities.
Yeah. A much larger point he proved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Much larger point. Yeah, it wasn't just about money or
exactly.
the team. It was about
what was going on in the world,
brutality and everything
global.
Else like that.
Yep.
When you look at what he went through, and I think everyone's in agreement that his NFL career is over. I know every so often someone says something and he tries out and it doesn't go anywhere. But I think at his age.
Yeah, for sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
When you look at what he did, what are your thoughts on it?
Man, as you said, his career's over, his playing career.
Yeah.
But his legacy is like, that's a forever statement, a forever move. Thinking that when you take it outside of him, like thinking about when that kind of idea, when that realization finally came in with George Floyd in 2020, and now you're seeing the NFL in every end zone is saying end racism. There's social justice initiatives and the whole thing. I feel like in his way, obviously, he really did have a large impact and change on the NFL. They still have stickers and markers to this day about what's going on in the world and how it can improve. And that idea that was off the field made its way onto the field. And he had a lot to do with that. So I feel like his legacy is larger than him taking snaps now.
I mean, you were retired by the time that happened.
Yes, in 2016.
If you were still playing, would you have taken a knee?
That's a great question. I don't know because at first glance, at first thought, just based on who I am, I would say yes. But I think about the being on the Pittsburgh Steelers and when they, as a team, decided to stay in the. It's just like I had a conversation, really long talk, deep talk with Franco Harris when we went back, came back for the reunions in 2018. We had a 10-year reunion for our 2008 Super Bowl, and there was a 30-year reunion for the 1978 team. Spoke like long and hard with him about guys who make statements in that way, guys who draw attention to outside kind of like ideas in the realm of football. And in that conversation, something that he expressed where he felt like that was something that was actually pretty selfish. I'm not saying Colin Kaepernick, but like where he was saying you have this game which is so pure, so singularly focused, and you have teams that come together to fight to win games. When you bring a personal idea or belief onto that field, it kind of, now your teammates have to answer to that. Now you've put pressure on your front office and all these things, where he kind of expressed that that's a selfish thing to do, or selfish move. So kind of hearing it from that context, I'm like, damn, man, like, and this is obviously somebody who's one of the greatest players ever play, somebody I look up to dearly. He said that, and it put a different spin and perspective on things of that nature for me. And so that kind of made me think about it a different way. So in the same vein, like thinking about what Cap did, it's like he's an icon, and somebody maybe probably had to do that, and he did. So I wouldn't step on that. So for me, if he's already kneeing, like I can't say where I would have been if Mike Tomlin's telling us this is what we're gonna do. I can't say that I would have bucked the system or the team and took a knee as well. You're just like, I don't know, and I wasn't in that position.